With the Yu-Gi-Oh card game being based on a manga that also spawned an anime with other anime and manga follow-ups, it's natural that there would be cards based on iconic moments in the series. But with the potential to reference cool moments that can also relate to archetypes and effects in the game itself, and nostalgia bait, sometimes the developers go with a scene that left my memory a long time ago, or the way they depicted the scene on the card was so weird, I almost didn't recognize the reference. So for this video, I want to look at some of the cards based on anime moments with their art, and maybe even effects, whose moments are not as iconic as I expected, or were memorable, but the execution on the presentation seemed odd. And helping me with this topic is the expert on the game, manga, and anime, Sam from Dungeon Dive Bar.
I have consumed far too much of this franchise to not know every scene where these cards appear.
And the person who only knows about the anime, Judgment Meter.
Together we make one functioning Yu-Gi-Oh fan.
Now, let's tune into the top 10 weirdest Yu-Gi-Oh cards based on anime moments. Number 10, Mystical Elf White Lightning. This was a cool scene to adapt, but I feel like the effect and lack of searchability on this card made it a dud. It was based on the Yugi vs Imposter Ghost Kaiba duel in the anime, or the Ventriloquist of the Dead in the manga, where Kaiba gets his deck stolen by this guy and Yugi duels against him. In the latter half of the duel, Yugi summons Mystical Elf, and on his next turn, he uses Monster Reborn to get one of Imposter Kaiba's Blue Eyes White Dragons, leading to the team-up of the century. Thanks to early Yu-Gi-Oh manga rules being improvised, Mystical Elf's chant allowed Yugi to raise the dragon's attack equal to her own attack, so now it was strong enough to barrel over the opponent's regular attack Blue Eyes and win the duel. Great moment, and it helps cement why Mystical Elf is my favorite normal monster, besides me just liking that she was blue. So when this card came out, I thought they were finally giving her a variation of the attack transfer skill she had in the manga and anime. However, it was not that. The effect just lets you special summon her if your opponent activates an effect while you control a level 5 or higher normal monster, and then you can negate that effect, referencing how she helped out Blue Eyes, a level 8 normal monster, and many other Duelist Kingdom Ace monsters are also high-level normal monsters. Also, during the battle phase, this card lets you revive a normal monster in either graveyard to your field, and force that to be the only attack target for your opponent, referencing how Yugi revived the imposter's Blue Eyes to ultimately win the duel. And not only that, but your opponent must attack the monster you revived, which is a neat trick if you bring back something big and your opponent has no effects to counteract it. While this is a neat trick, where are all the references to the climax of the duel? Yugi protected Mystical Elf with Mirror Force and raised his monster's attack with Mystical Elf. Why not give it a Mirror Force style effect, or an attack boosting effect? Maybe turn it into a Moon Mirror Shield, where we'll always raise one of your monster's attack points to 800 over the highest attack monster. For such a hype moment, it was a shame this effect didn't really reflect that, and Konami is usually really good at referencing anime moments with card effects, as you'll see later on this list. I don't know much else Mystical Elf was known for.
Yeah, it's a really weird pick for Mystical Elf, and I get that of all of the Mystical Elf scenes in the anime, this is probably her most memorable and only significant appearance outside of when she was the only female monster in Yugi's deck to avoid the Shadow of Eyes in the Mai Duel. But I think Mystical Elf got the short end of the stick on this one. I think her effect should have been related to either Light Attribute or Spellcasters, or something that referenced being one of Yugi's cards. I don't think it would have seen play either way, but I really do think it could have been a better pull for her.
Finally, since this card references the attack name for Blue Eyes, with the Japanese name combining Mystical Elf's Japanese name and the Blue Eyes' attack name to create Holy Burst Stream, as it was called in the manga, why not just count this as a Blue Eyes card so it has some searchability? Or better yet, just retrain Mystical Elf again. There's a few good references to base effects on. She's got the Shadow of Eyes moment, Gift of the Mystical Elf Trap, the Virtual World appearance, even the potential for a card with the attack gain effect. Just don't tell me you forgot about her, Konami. And if you did, well, Judgment Meter, give me your best Eto Bleh.
Eto bleh.
Yes, Eto Bleh.
Eto bleh.
Yeah, give me some more bleh.
Bleh.
Yeah, okay, that works. Number 9, Service Puppet Play. This card is an amazing reference to me since it was such a one-sided duel with one creepy moment that was otherwise forgettable, and they captured that one great moment so well on this card. This was when we were being introduced to the antagonist faction for the first half of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, being a band of brothers led by their corrupted father. The brothers had numbered names, with the guy involved in this moment being an actor called 4 or Quattro in the dub, and he used gimmick puppets, an archetype of terrifying dolls that swarm the field and Xyz summon. He offers to duel 2 of Yuma's friends at once, being Tetsuo or Bronk in the dub, and the blue-haired guy. They were just happy to duel him since 4's a celebrity, and they thought it would be a fun little time. But little did they know, 4 has the tendency to get really intense with his dueling.
Oh, we're bringing up Service Puppet Play. Fan service!
This duel was set up to be where the new villain thrashes some minor good guys to show off his power. They all got their ace monsters out pretty quickly, being Tin Archduke for Tetsuo, Antidote Nurse for Blue Hair, and Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder for 4. Grinder then proceeds to use its effect to destroy 2 Xyz monsters and deal burn damage back, and it's treated like this horrifying scene as if the monsters were their best friends that they could never get back. Of course, this was helped by the dark visualization, where Grinder uses its strings to drag in the monsters and grind them to pieces.
And after they got horribly, brutally murdered, a giant cannon then forms out of his chest and shoots the jobbers to death.
Oh, I like the nurse lady.
Well, there she is on the card, getting murdered by the giant grinder.
Ew, what a terrible card. Those are feet. Is that a chair on his crotch?
Yeah, you could sit there if you'd like.
You control him from his crotchal area?
If you look at the artwork for Giant Grinder, you can see at the top of the cranes at the chair, there's a little guy. You can see the little guy at the top.
Little guy.
They're little guys. That's it.
Oh my goodness. It's a whole family. I want to see what they're all holding.
Well, you got some scissors, a saw, a sword, a pickaxe, some indescript stuff, a hammer, and, I don't know, a key?
No. I want to know what that guy in the yellow is holding.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
What's he doing?
Also, I hate how they removed the weird little guy on the back of Giant Grinder's chair, and I miss him.
What I find most interesting about this scene becoming a card is, despite the drama and awesome angle this card takes this moment to, this duel was ultimately a washout. Tetsuo and Blue Hair were pretty much third-rate duelists, so 4 was just taking out some jobbers in his mind. Maybe Tetsuo was higher up since he tried fighting off the Baryon, but the point is, this duel was very low stakes compared to 4's later duels, so it's funny how such sick art came from a fairly insignificant duel. As for the effect, it references the end of the anime scene well, where 4 uses his gimmick puppet princess, which is a card that does not exist in real life yet, to take control of the monsters destroyed by Giant Grinder. And this card's effect lets you take control of your opponent's monsters up to the number of gimmick puppet Xyz monsters you control, along with being able to banish this card in your graveyard to revive an Xyz monster in either graveyard. Fun little effect for a not so fun looking scene. Number 8, Magistry Alchemist. On paper, it makes sense that this moment gets a card, but the way the scene was redrawn for the card is very funny to me. This is a reference to when Jaden dueled against the final boss of Season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Kagemaru, who used the Sacred Beasts, being 3 monsters who were parallels of the Egyptian gods, but eventually went on to be their own archetype. They're pretty fun. To defeat him, Jaden fused together most of his main elemental heroes to create the ultimate hero fusion at the time, Elemental Hero Electrum. Then he gave Electrum a weapon made with an alchemy card from Professor Banner, and had it slay Sacred Beast Raviel because screw Raviel. Really, Electrum had 14,500 attack points with this, so it didn't matter who he attacked, and Raviel was the unlucky one.
What if I told you that sword was made out of Karibos?
What?
That sword's made out of Karibos.
Oh no. Why?
Winged Karibo gave its life to give Elemental Hero Electrum a cool sword to kill the monsters.
That's Karibo dust? Oh, they're such selfless little creatures.
Technically, it was more that Winged Karibo got destroyed in battle, and then his spirit let Jaden draw the the alchemy spell, but it sounds more dramatic to say he ate the attack to make the sword spell happen.
He eats it, then turned it into a cool sword.
The reason this card is on the list is simply the pose on it is very funny to me. Jaden's archetypes have monsters in the anime with very firm buttocks. Likewise, Electrum has a very noticeable ass, and when he slashes Raviel in the anime, no matter where you pause the scene once his full body is on screen, Electrum's ass is directly in the viewer's face until we get the reverse shot from the front, and even after, we get another butt shot. He does not angle away from the camera, it's just all cheeks for a few seconds. However, the card angles him where his butt is not directly facing the player, and he's winding up the swing of his dual sword instead. The butt is still there, but it's not as prominent, and as I mentioned, I just think this is funny. It's not apparent censorship or anything, they probably just wanted a more dynamic shot, but they took away the most memorable part of this scene for me, even though the cool anime slash was supposed to be what I remembered more.
Whoa, look at his ass! Did we see that ass?
Yeah, we saw this episode, I just didn't pause it on every frame like I am now.
Whoa, he looks like a superhero.
Judgment meter heat.
I heard it.
And not to undermine the card itself, the effect is pretty cool in how it references the scene, letting you banish 4 heroes to summon another hero from the graveyard ignoring its summoning conditions, referencing the 4 heroes that made up Electrum, and if the 4 heroes banished were the 4 elemental attributes, once again matching the attributes of the heroes that made Electrum, the monster you summoned has its attack doubled, and negates your opponent's monster's effects on the field, referencing the weapon Electrum got. Neat effect, but I doubt any hero decks are playing this. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the butt talk. Watch Keijo. Number 7, this creepy little punk. This card would have been perfect and avoided the list if not for the international name. The Japanese card name translates to Return of the Reaper, which sounds cool and fits the archetype it supports, being Infernity, who are these demonic Wild West sort of monsters, used in the 5D's anime by the guy who's actually on the card, Kallen, or Kiryu in Japanese, so it was fitting all around. And that opens up the question, how do you get this creepy little punk from Return of the Reaper?
In what is considered the worst arc of 5Ds, which is one of my favorite arcs because it's so stupid. It was so bad it rolled around into the funny territory for me. Yusei is looking for his friend Kallen, who has decided, I'm gonna commit suicide by dueling until I lose, and then I'm enslaved to mine out a mine shaft until I die. But he just kept winning.
Oops.
And became known as the Grim Reaper. And he would announce his presence in the arena and entering the town at sunset for the quick draw duel by playing a harmonica tune and wearing a cool trench coat and like tight pants, because everyone wears tight pants in 5Ds. They're bikers. Kallen, or Kiryu in the sub, being a god of death, hence the original name of the card, Return of the Reaper, because he returns to town only to kill and then disappears.
Also, kill in this case just means beat in a duel with a gun-shaped duel disc.
But instead, they had to 4-kids it and make him this creepy little punk. And on top of it having to specify this is an Infernity card so that you can search it out, it's just, why did they name it that? Why did they have to take Crash Town and make it even worse? I hate it. It's a great card though, really useful.
He looks cool.
Don't you remember Kiryu/Kallen?
I forgot he was a character until you brought him up again.
But you liked his Earthbound Immortal the first time we watched 5Ds.
No.
No, you really did.
I'm sure I did. See the whale?
No, he's the giant. The whale is Chaku Chalua.
Sure.
His Earthbound Immortal was Kokapakapu.
Kokapikapu.
Which animal is he?
The giant.
Oh.
Here's what he looked like.
Aww, he's cute.
That's what you said the first time you saw him.
I say it exactly the same way.
Anyway, back to the punk card. The likely reason for the name change is because in episode 91, when Yusei and Kallen are having the tag duel, in Japanese, Kallen declares that he's returning as the Reaper when the antagonist of the arc, Lawton, drags him back into dueling. But for this scene in the dub, they were not doing a direct translation, so they were just writing dialogue that fit to an extent. At this point, Lawton calls Kallen a creepy little punk, which Kallen sarcastically accepts as a name. As a result, in translating the card, they picked the English dialogue dialogue that was said during the Return of the Reaper quote, and it happened to be the line where Callan is saying, "This creepy little punk is going to beat you," or something like that. Many of the cards based on a recurring anime phrase had their names changed if that phrase was different in the dub, like the cards based on signature moves, or something like the Zexal catchphrase Katabingu being changed to "High Five the Sky" in the dub. But when it's just a single line that was never repeated like a catchphrase, do you think anyone really would have cared if it didn't match what was said in the English dub? This line is not iconic. It's not like Exodia's attack name being changed in the dub to Exodia Obliterate, which later became a card name. And it's not like they always change names this way, like the card based on the Blue Eyes White Dragon's signature move, Burst Stream of Destruction, was unchanged in English, despite its attack name being called White Lightning in the dub. Literally, no one would have noticed if Return of the Reaper stayed as is, but hey, it is what it is, and at least there's a meme factor to the name. Number 6, Fire Ejection. The scene this is based on almost feels like it's blink and you'll miss it. It's such a random scene. It's from Jaden's initial duel with Axel, or O'Brien in Japanese, in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. This is when the 4 transfer students were introduced, and each of them had a tutorial duel of sorts where they dueled one member of the main cast, and being introductory duels, I didn't see them as too special with moments I'd put on cards. The best parts to me were probably the dub jokes in the Chaz vs. Adrian duel. The scene on the card was from the beginning of the duel, when Axel uses his Blaze Accelerator to shoot Jaden's Flame Wingman with his volcanic shell, but Jaden defuses to avoid it, only with the shocking reveal that Axel can pay 500 life points and he gets the shell back, and then he uses it to hit Burstinatrix. It just felt like any old monster being destroyed when it happened, but the card makes it look like such a big deal. It has this cool angle, and Burstinatrix has action anime lines around her like it's a big turnaround, but really, Jaden just loses a monster with no other repercussions. Burstinatrix looks so shocked on the card, while she barely made a noise in the anime.
Don't do that to Burstinatrix. She's like one of my favorite elemental heroes. She's one of the few I like. I assume that this cannon can only shoot in one direction. And can't Burstinatrix fly?
Yeah, but to be fair, it was shot really fast.
Fly away, damn you, fly!
Too late, she's getting hit again.
Don't shoot her!
I love Burstinatrix getting shot at. I am a certified elemental hero hater.
Oh no, not in this video too.
If you're playing hero decks, I'm gonna bully you. I say this in our group chats all the time, but it is ethically okay to bully hero players.
Ethically.
Yes, it's ethically okay to bully Dark Magician players, Blue Eyes players, and hero players.
Why Blue Eyes?
Because they deserve it.
I agree with 2 out of 3 of those. Replace Blue Eyes with Cyber Dragons and I'll be okay.
Oh no, I forgot, that's also up there. You can bully Cyber Dragon too.
Oh, okay.
Hi everyone, MrTopTenList here. If you're new to this channel, I do not share the views of any of my co-hosts and love all archetypes equally and think they deserve respect. Also, the term bullying in that context means winning against a deck without letting them get off their effects. It's not the traditional term bullying. Please do not do that. If you're not new here, I hope you enjoyed us capitalizing on running gags. Anyway, back to the entry. With all the times Axel used Blaze Accelerator, I feel like one of his more high-stakes duels would have been cooler to capture on a card, but maybe someone at Konami really just found the shocked Burstinatrix funny. The effect doesn't really reference the scene well either. It just lets you send a volcanic monster from the deck to the graveyard, which was Axel's main archetype, and then you can either deal burn damage or summon a bomb token to your opponent's side of the field, which leads to burn damage, meaning any moment with his volcanics probably could have worked since he was discarding them all the time. Still, I like the Burstinatrix pose, and I have this card in Royal Rare in Master Duel, so if I ever build a serious volcanic deck, I have some flair now. Please tell me volcanic decks actually use this card. Number 5, Kairyu-Shin's Dark Reef. This one is based on the Yugi vs. Mako duel from Duelist Kingdom, back when the rules were loose and the monsters just fought on the environment, making up their own rules. The ocean field kept expanding, giving Mako's water monsters an advantage. Yugi tried powering up his wolf Silverfang with the moon, but it just made the tides worse, leaving him with little land, and then he has Giant Soldier of Stone famously attack the moon that he set up, causing the tides to recede recede and beaching Mako's monsters so they were unable to move. The weird thing is, first off, they made a card supporting water monsters based on this scene. The art is almost a what-if scenario, showing, they're all fine, they didn't need the water, and that's mirrored with the effect. This trap lets you send the water field spell Umi to the graveyard, which there are about a dozen cards that count as Umi, and in sending it, you can summon 2 water monsters whose effects mention Umi or normal water monsters, and you get even more water monsters if your opponent controls a monster. Sending Umi to the graveyard mimics how the tides receded, and a bunch of water monsters being summoned references how they appeared when the ocean went away, but as mentioned, it's as if they were okay without the water.
As someone who plays an Umi control deck right now, I love this card, and I love how it is the goofiest anime reference. Because yeah, that's clearly them beached after Yugi attacks the moon, which causes Mako to automatically lose the duel because his monsters can't exist outside of the water, and as such they get destroyed by their own existence.
They're beached but happy. It's okay. They can breathe oxygen. Like, they look like they just came out of a sauna or a hot tub or a hot spring, and they're just chilling with their buds. You know what I mean?
Don't any of them scare you like they're supposed to?
I mean, a little intimidated with the spiky teeth, but the squid octopus guy, he seems pretty chillin'.
Huh, I've never met a fan of Fiend Kraken until today.
I like the yellow happy little squid.
No, these are all giant monsters, remember? That's a big kraken.
He looks too little to be a kraken. He's just a mini kraken.
Yeah, but they're also the same size as the giant soldier of stone. Are you gonna tell me they're not giant if they're the same size as a giant?
If they're all giant together, then they're just regular sized.
So that's just man of stone. That's just guy soldier of stone.
Yeah.
That's not Kairyu-Shin Lord of the Deep. That's just deep sea fangly fish and norregular shark and squid guy.
Squid guy taking a dip in the pool.
Some of Mako's monsters were retrained with effects that activate when Umi is up, so with the effect summoning monsters that mention Umi, you're likely to summon some of his cards. Also to note, the shark featured on this card doesn't even exist in the card game yet. It's called Great White Terror and he used it in the manga and anime, but they've never printed it in any form. There is a shark monster named Great White that I used to think it was, but that's a shark with arms. Similar, but not the same.
Especially with when all that Mako support came out, that would have been the perfect time to release it. It's a level 5 aqua monster. It's aqua, not a fish. I mean, sharks aren't fish, but still. All the other sharks are fish. But yeah, retrain him as a fish. Bang, bang, boom. Suddenly, there's a dual monsters reference in the Zael archetype, or vice versa.
Final note is this made me realize how many other cards are based on Mako's 2 duels. Besides the monster retrains, he has Fury of Kairyu-Shin, Sea Stealth Attack 1 and 2 referencing his duel against Joey, and of course, Attack the Moon, which I covered on my best cards based on the anime video, so it won't be here. Plus, that moment is iconic, so it makes sense why they made it a card. Anyway, thanks for inviting us to your reef, Kairyu-Shin. Hopefully you'll let me summon more than one non-water monster next time. Number 4, Synchro Overtop. This is based on a pretty cool scene from the final boss duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, where Yusei is dueling against Zone and his Time Lords. Since it's a high-stakes duel that takes place on a motorcycle in the sky in a dystopian future alternate dimension, Yusei pulls out some protagonist epic moments to summon a bunch of ace monsters. With the help of a speed spell, which are the anime spell cards that can be used in the writing duels only, it has the busted effect that lets him summon synchro monsters from the extra deck equal to the amount of synchro summons he's already done in the duel, but the monsters are negated and have 0 attack. And since it's the boss duel, Yusei summons the ace monsters of all of his friends who lent them to him for the big duel, being Red Dragon Archfiend, Black Rose Dragon, Ancient Fairy Dragon, and Black Wing Dragon. Then he lowers all their levels to 1 with the help of another ace monster from his ally Leo, Lifestream Dragon, and now they have the total number of levels to summon Yusei's evolved ace monster, Shooting Quasar Dragon. Cool ass scene, but all that explanation to simply say, this is a funny rendition of that scene. Similar to cards like Magistry Alchemist, this card depicts the scene from a different perspective, but I feel they picked the most awkward angle to show this scene at. It looks like Red Dragon Archfiend is suffering and begging Ancient Fairy Dragon for help and she's just watching, or for the SpongeBob SpongeBob meme everyone posted when this card was revealed. Good grief, he's naked!
So they cut the scene at the worst possible point. Ancient Fairy Dragon is flying into her tuning ring, and Red Dragon Archfiend is mid-roar. So he's just like, Ancient Fairy Dragon body. Where's the rest of me? Because like Ancient Fairy Dragon is the only one that's entire body is intact. Otherwise, it looks like they're all being subsumed by Livestream Dragon synchro rings.
You look so uncomfortable.
You know what it is? There is a Transformers trope. It's called dull surprise. It's where the most audacious thing is happening, but they have the most dead, fish-eyed look. This is supposed to be all of them expressing shock and terror at Devastator killing someone. All of them, including Devastator, have the most deadpan expression. Even Optimus Prime, lacking a mouth, has the same slack-jawed expression. But yeah, it's like they watched that sequence, because there were a lot of incredible highlight moments in that sequence, and they just picked the worst possible through frame. Ancient Fairy Dragon's arms don't even look like they belong on the same body. Like, one of them is perfectly straight, and the other is wiggling.
No, they're super weird and her fingers are creepy.
She's got Flame Swordsman hands! She's got the Flame Swordsman fingers right now.
Aww. Why? Why are his fingers like that?
Nobody knows.
It's like they were mirrored.
As for the effect, it mimics the scene pretty well, letting you summon as many level 7 or 8 dragon synchro monsters from your graveyard as you can, since all the ace monsters Yusei summoned were dragons at those levels, and all their levels become 1 with their effects negated. So you could technically get the same board as he did in the anime, but I don't know why you'd be playing all these monsters in a single deck. Also, you can banish this card to summon Crimson Dragon, which is the dragon all of these monsters made up in the anime, squeezing in an extra reference. However, as with most cards on this list, the effect is overshadowed by just how distracting the art is. Number 3, Aqua Jet Surface. Okay, I know I've been saying this a lot, but this scene getting a card probably surprised me the most since it features such a bad monster during a part of the duel I just forgot about. It's from Yuma's first duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, where he duels against the rival eventually turned friend Ryoga, or Shark, or Reginald, or whatever you want to call him. The initial duel in any series is important on paper, but I just blocked off this duel in my memory until they started getting to the boss monsters. It's at the beginning of the duel when Ryoga summons his shark monster Big Jaws, uses Aqua Jet to boost its attack and give it sick turbo engines, and then attacks Yuma's Zubababa Knight for the first kill of the series. On one hand, it conceptually makes sense why this became a card. The first monster battle of any Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime is technically a momentous occasion. Part of why Hitatsumi Giant is so recognizable is because it was the first monster summoned via hologram in the anime, and that card based on Jaden vs. Crowler from GX is also hype, so I think part of my confusion is just my nostalgia bias. It's just that this scene feels like a random moment from any old duel, because it would have been if not for being in the inaugural duel. I also think I don't like this card as much because Big Jaws was always a terrible monster. It's like DD Warrior if it only affected itself.
Would you like to be upset about his anime effect with me, Mr. Top 10 List?
Of course.
Big Jaw's real world effect is, at the end of the battle phase, if this card attacked, banish it. It's an 1800 attack monster. No other effects, nothing special about it. Its anime effect is, if a normal spell card was activated this turn, you can special summon this card from your hand.
That is so much better. I would have liked him if he had that effect from the start.
Which is why its retrain has that effect instead.
I wish the retrain still had rocket boosters like on Aqua Jet Surface, though.
This is why I'm afraid to fly.
But it's got Justice Rocket Backpack Rocket Fire.
Hey, we just made a Homestar Runner reference yesterday.
Aqua Jet Surface's effect is a slightly upgraded version of the spell cards Surface and Aqua Jet, two cards Ryoga used a good amount in the anime. Surface lets you revive a level 3 or lower Aqua, Sea Serpent, or Fish monster, while this card can revive a level 4, but locks you into summoning Water Exceeds monsters from the extra deck when that monster's on the field. And Aqua Jet gives those types of monsters a 1000 attack point boost, so you can banish this spell from the graveyard to get that boost. Honestly, this is a fun effect. I wish there were more cards that just combined two old slower effects into one. I think I've turned around on putting this scene on a card. Konami, give us more combination effects of old cards with low tier monsters on the art. It's kinda cool. Number 2, Instant Contact. This is a moment from the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX opening of Season 3 Teardrop, or another rendition of Get Your Game On in the dub. It shows Jaden's newer ace monster, Elemental Hero Neos, with all of his fusions ones with the Neospatian monsters behind him, all shown off in Season 2 first. But there's one glaring difference between the card and the anime.
Hey, Judgment Meter, let's play a game. You want to play a game real fast?
Yeah, I love games.
We're going to play a Spot the Difference game, okay?
Okay.
MrTopTenList sent you the card we're talking about, and I sent you the screenshot it's based off of. Can you spot the one major difference?
Okay. So the guy in the front is the same. Drill guy is the same. Green guy in corner is the same. Wait, wing guy. Who's the wing guy?
It's one of the greatest mysteries of Yu-Gi-Oh! That Konami decided to strike the existence of elemental hero Air Neos from existence. Nobody's sure if it's because there's an airline called Air Neos that filed a lawsuit or something else at play. No one knows what it is, but Air Neos has never reappeared in anything. It has never been reprinted. It is a card from 2007. It's not even in Master Duel. And even when they added Elemental Hero Neos to Rush Duel, they created Elemental Hero Sky Neos instead, rather than reprint Air Neos. It is one of the greatest mysteries of Yu-Gi-Oh! Why Konami is afraid to restore Air Neos. And it's not even like it's a good card, but no one's sure why.
It's funny too because you can see the wing of Air Neos on the card, similar to where it was in the opening, which I don't think belongs to any other Neos here, so if Air Neos ever gets brought back, there is plausible deniability that he was here all along. He just didn't glide high enough by the time the picture was taken, and he's directly behind regular Neos. Konami has a chance to do the funniest thing and just re-release Air Neos with no fanfare as if it's a standard reprint. While the art is distracting, the effect is pretty nice. All these Neos fusions are with the original Neospatians, so the effect lets you special summon one level 7 or lower elemental hero or Neospatian monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions for the turn, with the intent that you'd go for any of the Neos fusions, old or new. And to go with how they all appear alongside Neos in the theme song, elemental hero Neos must be on the field or in your graveyard, or else the fusion monster cannot attack and its effects are negated. But still, a free fusion monster is great in a deck that endlessly fuses. However, this card will forever be overshadowed by the Air Neos mystery. For number 1, we got a monster card. It really felt like Konami was reaching when they turned this scene into a card, but not only is it silly, but it's a great card for its related archetype based on the effect. Number 1, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. We all know the Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's a part of the iconic duo of Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters and might have the most supported archetype, if not the second most. So in the years of using the manga and anime to make new cards for monsters for this archetype, it feels like they've squeezed about every Blue Eyes reference out to make a card, from monsters referencing Kisara in the Pharaoh's Memory arc to Grandpa Moto's own dragon. And then Konami thought, hey, we've made a card on like every pose the Blue Eyes has ever made. All that's left is that Jet Kaiba made based on his Blue Eyes. What if that was a monster? And somehow, that became a major staple of the Blue Eyes deck, and it's pretty awesome.
Is this the thing that Kaiba wrote?
Yes.
I knew a
Yes.
thing!
You knew a thing.
I remembered something this time. He's cool, I like him. Not like those not like those stupid cyber dragons.
Judgment Meter, stop hating on GX archetypes in my videos.
I like this jet. It's better than the shark.
How's the shark related to this?
Stop ruining this for me.
The scene specifically that they took the Jet Dragon from, if I recall, it's from the anime where Kaiba is escaping the destruction of the duel tower on Alcatraz Island specifically. When he does the big dramatic reveal after he goes, "You've won Battle City. Now I'm gonna blow up the island." And everyone's like, Kaiba, what the heck? And then he and Mokuba aren't on the blimp. And they're like, guys, Kaiba got left behind. And then he writes out on a jet shaped like a Blue Eyes White Dragon.
The Blue Eyes Jet was just one of those things that was so over the top for Kaiba, it reaches levels of self-parody in how much he loved that dragon, and it fit perfectly. However, despite how much we saw the Jet, more so in the anime filler, it never crossed my mind that it needed to be a card, in part due to it not exactly fitting with the aesthetic of the archetype. All the Blue Eyes monsters are usually big old dragons, or fantasy people who summon and worship the dragon, and then in the middle of all that, you have the state-of-the-art, technologically advanced Dragon Jet. If you've never seen the anime, I could see how this feels out of place. It's like if they made a Dark Magician Girl card based on Cyrus's bad drawing of her in GX. And yes, Konami, I'm indirectly requesting this. On the other hand, there are other Blue Eyes cards that go for anime aesthetic over fantasy, like Bingo Machine Go or Kaiba Man, so maybe it's not that strange out of context. And even so, I love this card's design. Pointing out the oddities is in no way a criticism here, especially with how the effects work so well with the deck. First off, it makes your other cards indestructible when it's on the field. Then if you have the original Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field or in your graveyard, if any card is destroyed on the field, you can summon the jet from your hand or graveyard. And when it battles, you can bounce a card on the field. Those are 3 really nice effects in one. If I had to guess, the reference to the anime in the effect is when it can summon itself after something is destroyed. That's supposed to be Kaiba blowing up the duel tower, but then swooping out of the wreckage to show the jet is unscathed. That also might explain why your other cards cannot be destroyed with the jet. So for being the reference that's funny, goofy, and badass all at the same time, depending on who you ask, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is the weirdest and one of the most playable cards referencing the anime. Now, what did you think? Did all these scenes that became cards confuse you, or were they all moments that you would have put in the game without a second thought? And what are some of your favorite cards that reference the anime, whether we discussed them or not? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.